You're listening to The Bug.
May cause nausea, vomiting and headaches. You're listening to The Bug, the Resistance comedy show brought to you by the Buccaneer Network. I'm Andy, joining me, as always, Alice.
I'm excited to be here. Apparently, the Resistance is not going well.
Again? Well, there has been some news about DedSec, the Resistance and/or terrorist organisation, delete according to preference. Not preference, sorry, delete according to whether or not you work for the government, SIRS, Bloom, the Kellys or Albion. According to a SIRS official, DedSec is no longer a threat. Which I guess is true, in that it was never a threat in the first place. Reminds me of when my great-aunt Gladys had her appendix out. Oh, Andy, that surgeon's a real threat, waggling that knife at me, trying to knock me out. Or they called a scalpel and an anaesthetic, Gladys. Anyway, if SIRS officials say DedSec is dead and buried, I guess we have to assume that DedSec has never been stronger. But I do worry, Alice. I mean, sometimes I think, is there any hope? Do you still have hope?
I don't think I'm allowed to have hope. We're living in this self-selected, algorithmically designated information equivalent of a propaganda state, and every resistance that I've ever seen is weaker than the British pound. I feel like hope is an expensive thing to buy these days.
Right. I mean, is it all totally pointless? But then again, I've spent almost all of my life doing pointless things like watching sport, thinking about watching sport, learning French and hoping for a better future. All completely pointless. But yeah, I've done them, so we might as well carry on. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, I think there is. Unfortunately, what is that light? Is it an oncoming train? Well, no, it couldn't be. Obviously, that train would be late or cancelled. Is the light at the end of the tunnel a burning effigy of the concept of hope? Quite possibly. Is it the soul of Sky Larson imploding into its own vacuum? May well be that. Is it the ego of Nigel Cass that is now so big that it's sucked all the light in the universe into itself? I think that is most likely is that. But we'll never give up, Bug fans. This resistance will never die. And one day, we will again be free. Free from these technological chains, free to choose our own futures, free to live our own lives, free to waste our time watching people bake cakes and dance badly again. Those were the days. Over and out. Before we go, time for a quick bug off. I'm going to nominate this week Sky Larson here at the Bug. We are all in favour of strong, powerful women. And in many ways, Sky is the ultimate feminist icon, proving that women can do just as abominably awful things to this planet as men. I mean, overall, Alice, I think we're still ahead as men, but you lot are catching up. Fair play to you. You are listening to The Bug.
Coming up in today's episode of The Upload, we're talking about how Bagley managed to conquer London. Pretty much my favourite topic. I could talk for hours about the rise of the AI system. It's easy to forget about its origins. It's so present everywhere we go now. Bagley just kind of blends into the background.
Bagley is the service AI that's present in every Optic device. Whether you're using the Optic, Bagley will be there. The AI is streamed to your Optic from Bloom's central command center, and it was first created by Sky Larson, our tech hero, as part of her techno-utopian idea for the world. Why do you think it grew so quickly?
In my mind, it's no surprise that Bagley became so popular. It's funny, useful, fast. It's a great companion and really just makes life so much easier. I mean, when you look back at all the service AIs that used to exist, they just can't compete. When you ask Bagley anything, there's a quick answer and loads of information available to you. One day, I let Bagley answer all of my messages for a whole 24 hours and no one even noticed the difference.
The other competitors really just couldn't compete with Bagley. Their answers were so much worse, they didn't understand anything, and Bagley pretty much gets everything right first time. Do you have any idea why Bagley really beat all the competition?
Well, it's really the data, isn't it? Ever since Broker hooked up with Bloom, that's when things changed.
And really, that's not actually that great. Bloom has data on everybody. They collect information about everything you're doing across the web through your Optic headset. Isn't the AI only good because of Bloom's surveillance?
Well, I suppose so, but I'd prefer not to talk about that side of things. Bagley is so special because it's been trained on this huge cache of information. That's how these AI systems work. Or at least used to work. I mean, we don't really know that much about the latest version because there's so much secrecy around the tech. But they're given this huge amount of training data. It's basically a huge database that's used to teach the AI about patterns in behavior. You know, so if you always travel the same way to your house, it can predict when you're going to go and get a self-driving car ready for you before you even ask for it.
That's pretty terrifying. In some ways, I don't want this data to drive my life. It understands too much at times. Have you heard some of the rumors around the hacked version of Bagley?
I've heard mutterings, yes.
I've heard it's been used by DedSec.
I wouldn't put it past them. It's pretty well known that they're not fans of Bloom. But the idea of a souped-up version of Bagley, given it's already so intelligent, is a bit terrifying.
I wonder what they could actually make it do.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Upload. We're talking about the Optic and how it's changed our lives. Now, as you remember, Bloom announced a new version of the Optic at the recent Tone conference, but we haven't heard too much about that since due to the dramatic events there. Let's cast our minds back and consider the technology. I mean, the Optic changed everything. It lets you see things in AR. You no longer need a smartphone. You just have the small implant that sends signals to your optic nerve and lets you see your emails, take calls, and browse the internet directly as if the screen was in front of your eyes. Instead of having to carry around a phone, you've just got the small handheld unit. So much lighter and so much more convenient. It's great.
Vicky, you sound like you absolutely love the Optic. Do you actually think that it's made our lives any better?
I mean, sure, it's definitely made things a lot easier. It's so simple to call someone now. All you have to do is choose who you want to chat to, and they're there, ready to talk. And browsing the web is so much easier. I remember when you used to have to sit down at a computer with an actual keyboard and mouse and type everything out. And my favourite feature is public transport. With the Optic, you can just walk straight onto the tube. It even acts as a passport. No longer do I have to dig around and try and find my old paper passport just to travel somewhere. Also, I thought that Optic's marketing strategy, making it free for people, was a stroke of genius.
Genius. Bloom was really calculated when it was doing that. It was pushing this draconian device on us at all. Sure, everybody flocked to it. There was free Wi-Fi and phone plans. That definitely helped, but it wasn't a case of this is a product that you need in your life.
Why do you hate it so much?
It's just the worst because you had to give up your privacy expectations and accept surveillance. It was almost like the government and Bloom didn't even need to make the Optic mandatory. Making it mandatory was only to get the last holdouts across the line. If free data didn't convince you, fines and arrests from the state for not having the Optic would pretty much be enough.
I mean, what do you mean by privacy problems? No one really talks about that anymore.
They don't talk about it because we don't have any choice when it comes to the optic. Yes, it's convenient and mandatory, but everybody's forgotten what it really means. Here, you've got a whole company owning basically all the data about your life. Bloom can see everything that you can see. Nothing is private anymore. There are so many times when I don't want anyone to have a clue about where I am, who I'm chatting with, what I'm doing. It's not even dodgy stuff, but I just don't want anybody to blackmail me with this in the future by hacking it. And because of Bloom's contracts with the government, it isn't just Bloom that can see everything I do, it's the government. The UK as a state has become a complete surveillance paradise.
I think you're painting a bit of a bleak picture. It's not all that bad.
No, you're completely wrong on this. I don't want everybody tracking me wherever I'm going around London.
Well, in that case, you might be interested in some rumours I heard. Did you hear that some DedSec hackers have found a way to bypass the optics connection with Bloom?
Are they actually making it better or usable or actually friendly for anybody?
Well, word on the street is that they've been able to create an encrypted signal, which means that your world might have a chance of becoming a bit more private again, so you could go back and enjoy all the great things about optic without that fear of surveillance.
With the optic, privacy's dead.
Hello and welcome back to The Upload. In this episode, we're talking about CTOS 3.0, the city operating system that's now powering all of London. For those of you who need reminding, as if anyone does at this point, CTOS was first used in Chicago in 2014 and then San Francisco in 2017 before coming here to London. And every time it's been rolled out, it's been pretty much an unmitigated disaster.
For those of you who are listening who are lucky enough not to be here in London's chaotic scenes, it's worth remembering that the telecoms tower is now owned by Bloom. The tower looms over northwest London. It's always been a communications hub, acting as part of the UK's television and communications network, although there's been some secrecy around its use, and now that Bloom owns it, it's only even more secret.
Yeah, now everything that's part of Bloom's city surveillance operation is run through the telecoms tower. And I have to say, it looks completely ridiculous. It's got that silly crown thing at the top and all the blue light.
What's that even about? What does it do? I don't see that there's any purpose to that at all.
It's a blight on the skyline, if you ask me. And it's become the main point of control for millions of people. The system network and Bagley are both operated and streamed from there too.
And don't forget about the self-driving cars too.
I always thought they were just running on their own.
No, CTOS is the big control system behind the cars. There was a point back in the earliest days of self-driving car technology that they operated by themselves. They used to use a series of sensors to see the world around them. Radar, for instance, would look far off into the distance, while LiDAR would detect objects nearby. And while these cars still use some of this technology, Bloom CTOS and its detailed maps and data that it has on London really makes Bloom be able to take control of it. And CTOS can take control of your car if you're parked incorrectly. It's no surprise that it was made mandatory to have a self-driving car.
The system is so bad though, it's so annoying. Whenever I try to use one of the shareable self-driving cars, I always find myself stuck in traffic jams or roadblocks. Not to mention the accidents. I've heard so many stories of cars shunting into the back of others. I think they're worse than human drivers sometimes.
The technology was meant to make things better, but Bloom has made it so bad that it just makes London even more chaotic than it was before. I'm giving up on the cars. I'm only using the bikes, which are not self-driving at the moment, at least. And don't even get me started on the data. Everything that Bloom sees from your movements around the city and the self-driving cars is collected and feeds back into its big information control system.
Oh, not you and Bloom and privacy again. You're a broken record.
Not as broken as our city's cars.
Coming up today on The Upload, we're talking about Skye Larson, the enigmatic founder of Broker Tech. Everyone knows her name, but no one knows too much about her. And we only really see her these days as a hologram. She was pretty young when she launched Broker Tech, the company that is best known for introducing Bagley to the world. Nowadays, it's hard to remember a world before Bagley.
And I think that what Skye Larson's done with Bagley is absolutely incredible. Bagley is the most advanced, significant AI of our time, and it's really blown all the other AIs that were created out of the water.
Yeah, I can't really imagine the Optic without it. But what do you know about Skye Larson herself?
Not a lot, other than that she's actually pretty incredible. I've followed her work for a long time, and she's always been a pretty private person. I know that she supposedly grew up in the countryside, but there isn't actually that much more we know about her other than this tech that she's put out into the world.
I've always found it a bit creepy that she's so obsessed with this idea of transhumanism.
Why wouldn't you be? When you've got a mind as amazing as Skye's, why wouldn't you want to take what you've got and actually augment it by working with technology, by improving your physical self, changing your body and the world around you, implementing more technology to extend your life and really sort of extend human capabilities?
You sound pretty much in love with Skye Larson, I have to say.
I can't comment on that, but I am a big fan of her work. She's been one of these people that has transformed the world around us, and just watching how her mind works from afar is pretty incredible, because some of what the technology she's introduced has changed how we all live our lives, and Bagley has been this really incredible assistance to humanity as a whole. Did I ever tell you that I actually interviewed Skye Larson once?
Really? I thought she never spoke to the media or anything.
So this was a long time ago, back in the day when she was a little bit more accessible. And she was one of these people that just had an amazing presence. You were inspired by her very being, and she was just incredibly talented and knowledgeable, and one of possibly the best living people that I've ever met.
I'm not sure you're being too objective there. I imagine she's not very likable as a person.
She obviously despises humanity in some way. I think she believes that becoming data is preferable to being human. She's one of these people who's extremely methodical in everything that she does, and she does everything to perfection and really tries to change the world around her and make it a better place for us to live in.
If you say so.
This is London Calling. I'm Tash, and you're listening to Buccaneer, your source for what they don't want you to know. Today we're talking about Dev Hassani, our gone, but sadly not forgotten Prime Minister. It's strange to think that he was just another here today, gone tomorrow politician until his infamous London is drowning speech went viral. The forces of darkness he unleashed with that speech changed everything around us. Was Hassani's rise inevitable? Could it have been stopped? And what happens when democracy starts to breed the ideas that can destroy it? Using back channels and underground contacts, we got in touch with political analysts and historians to find out how it's possible for cynical, short-term leaders like our beloved Prime Minister to give birth to political nightmares. No full names, as you know. These days, telling the truth can get you killed. Helen spelt out the dangers of populism for major political magazines and websites back in the pre-censorship days.
The appeal of fascist politics is about strongmen, and they are usually men, because it's about saying there are simple problems that are really easy to define, say immigration, and there are simple solutions to them. Stop immigration. And they are really appealing because they make sense of a world that can often feel really complicated and confusing, and they do offer, or seem to offer, action instead of what politics can often be, which is a kind of messy set of compromises where no one gets really what they want. Everyone gets a little bit of it. And that's the problem, really, is you end up in a situation where it looks like someone is going to do something incredible and transformative, but of course either it never really delivers, or it delivers at a huge cost to, for example, dehumanizing people. And I think you see that in the rhetoric around immigration. If you say immigrants are a problem, we're going to stop them, it's a legitimate political stance for a country to want to control its borders, but the way that that's done can often end up being very cruel and inhumane, because what you have said is immigrants specifically are the problem. Not every fascist is a populist, but they are two interlinked styles of government, really, because what fascists tend to do is rely on narratives of deep change and of enemies. I think that's one of the hallmarks of this style of politics, where you represent your opponents not just as people who disagree with you, but as existential threats, as evil people. So you see it in the course of the run-up to the Second World War, where Jewish people are represented as, rats and a scourge. You see it with Muslims, where they are represented as coming to take over and replace white people. So you have big defined groups of enemies that the person who is trying to convince you to vote for them, or later on simply to support their regime perhaps, needs to defeat. There is always an enemy to be defeated. Unfortunately, one of the things we're very bad at as humans is recognizing different things when they don't look like previous examples. So I think in pre-crisis Britain we had an idea that when fascism came it would look again like the 1930s. It would look like a single charismatic leader. It would look like a jackboots in the street and huge flags. And it didn't look like that. It looked like social media groups. It looked like poisoning the well so that no information could be trusted. It had its own specific flavor, and that I think blinded people, as did a kind of complacency that things aren't ever going to get that bad ever again. That's a problem for the past. We're much more sophisticated now. We're not going to succumb to these great moods of emotion where everyone is hysterically listening to a leader. Well, guess what? People don't change that much.
Where do authoritarians come from? Before the crisis, Ian was a senior journalist covering the global rise of the strongmen.
Populism started to rise as a response to a series of crises. Now, some of these were true, some of them were false. There was a financial crisis. People were poorer. They were less secure than they were. They were looking for easy answers. There was a refugee crisis. I mean, the extent to which that was an actual crisis is frankly questionable. There wasn't actually that many people coming over. But what you had was mainstream news reflecting really quite right-wing rhetoric, portraying what was ultimately a trickle of boats as a major crisis hitting the country. And once you get into that situation, you are primed for having authoritarian leaders with fictitious but easy answers come along with a populist message and basically say to you, look, I will take care of the problem. I will make it all go away. So how do populists capture existing political parties or institutions? The truth is this usually happens in about three different ways. The first one is the easiest one. You set up a party, you win an election, you take over. But that doesn't actually happen that often. The second way is a bit more common, which is that you basically find yourself in coalition with usually a mainstream right-wing party. And this has happened this is exactly what happened, of course, in the 1920s in Italy with Mussolini. It's exactly what happened in the 1940s in Germany with Adolf Hitler, which is that the mainstream bring them into power, and there they think they can control them, but you can never control this kind of party. They will always take charge. The third way is the most pernicious and the one that we recognize least. And that's when basically from the opposition, from the media, right-wing populists get their message out against immigrants, against corrupt elites, supposedly corrupt elites, and just pump out that message, pump out these frames of reference, and by virtue of that they take control of the political dialogue from well away from power.
It's easy to slide from democracy to totalitarianism. It's a lot harder to fight your way back again. But that's what we're here for. You've been listening to Buccaneer with me, Tash. Thanks to our guests for having the courage to talk to us. Keep listening, tell your friends, and spread the word. There's nobody to fix this but us.
present identification if directed.
So I said, I would have been fine if I hadn't had to pop over to work for the afternoon. It was like I'd been hit with a tranquilizer. People coming up to me asking me this, demanding that. I could barely keep my eyes open. Things you do for family.
Sniff around. Find who's doing this. This has been compromised. Be on the lookout for a hacker.
You've arrived at our contact's former employer. And aside from some heavily armed security guards, it's basically a ghost town.
Intriguing.
I don't think this replacement is on site. Dig around and see if you can figure out where they are.
Makes me livid.
I've never been one to abide by anyone else's rules.
I think.
Go on!
Bloody
Go on over there!
This area is restricted! Throw out the target!
Be one reason to use this shotgun. I'd rather
Taking
not have
cover.
to kill you today.
Your comrade is now taking an Albion-mandated timeout. You're up.
Can't imagine that's pleasant. Let's finish what they started. Here we fucking go.
Well?
No, no, no!
Keep your eyes open. They could be anywhere.
Spread out. Stay in contact. We're all clear over here. Here. Gonna keep looking.
You can do your corporate espionage from there.
Let's fan out. Be quick about it.
All clear here. Moving on.
No room for error here. Where the hell are they?
Oh, shit. Shit, got a body. Any sign of the target?
Very nice.
That's it for Albion's automated armoured car assembly. Should kick this whole uprising into high gear. Bit more of that and this barrel will internally combust. No? Nothing on that? Well, I guess it's back to knob jokes then.
All units, proceed to alarm location. Acknowledge, over.
This dead sex shit's fun. Here's the data.
Copy that. I'll analyze the company records while you get to safety.
What have we got, Bagley?
Well, I found our prospect's replacement. It's an AI. And a pretty shoddy one at that. Nowhere near as smart as me. It could maybe replace a few million humans at most.
Jesus.
Oh, right. I suppose from your perspective that's a lot. If you like, we can go destroy it before it puts anyone else out of work.
All right, good. Send me the location.
To turn themselves into the proper authorities.
Your somewhat reckless teammate has got themselves thrown in the old clink, I'm afraid. Difficult to resist oppression from behind bars. It will be a while before they're available. Pro tip, however, why not recruit a barrister to the team? I mean, no one exactly likes a barrister, but they do have their function. They should be able to shorten the jail time of imprisoned operatives.
Auto drive now enabled. Auto drive now disabled.
searching for intruder.
Violators will be prosecuted. Subject to searches of their person and belongings. Failure to comply with searches will be met with force.
Auto drive now enabled. Auto drive now disabled.
Stop wasting my time, useless dog.
Acting up. Shut it down.
Oh, someone thinks they're funny. Find out who they are.
Humans is permitted.
Movement during the scan. We're finding something.
Failure to comply with Albion's orders is a crime.
The job-killing AI's code blueprint has been packed up into a crate on site.
I'll smash it up then.
I'm gonna go.
Reminder. Bag and package searches are at the discretion of Albion agents. All persons must comply with license to surrender belongings for search at any time. Failure to do so is a crime.
Everything will be okay.
Run them out! Drone, spread out and search.
Keep searching.
Albion is permitted to search.
Ah!
Takes all kinds. What's going on? What's that?
Clear. Let's move on. Check your doors and corners.
Ever heard of personal space?
Let's have a look around.
What is going on? Why is this happening to me right now?
You got away from us.
Your friend's just been taken into Albion custody. So long as you don't cock up that badly, you'll be my favourite operative today.
No problem, Bagley. I'm ready for action.
Oh, no. No, no, no.
Result in arrest. Halt! Failure to comply will result in forcible intervention. Cease and desist, or you will be restrained.
Search protocols engaged. Target will be returning to standard duty.
Cool.
Wait! Gun! Gun! They have a gun! They've got the gun!
What is this rubbish?
You found it, now find some way to destroy it.
Who's that?
AI successfully murdered. Now get to safety and I'll send our friend the good news.
Let's hear it.
That drone was assigned to an Albion detention centre somewhere in the borough. According to what I could pass, it was used to interrogate high-value local insurgents. This is one less weapon in their arsenal.
Suspect's last known position. Check it out. I'm moving in.
Stay away from me.
Sending location on a 1033. Advise conditions.
Got someone down. Come on. Checking now.
Right, let's spread out and look.
Give up. We might go easy. It shouldn't be off. I've had enough. Stand down! I'll hold back. Cover from here. Taking fire!
I know this sounds like something from a bad sci-fi movie, but your replacement is an AI, not even a real human.
Wait, what did you just say?
Yeah, the company was ready to replace your whole industry with that AI, not just your division. I'm glad we caught them in time.
Cheers.
Hey, you know what? You're exactly the kind of person DedSec is looking for. You should join us. It's fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is not good. You'll comply, goddammit. I'll put you in hospital. Not touching this.
That was so fast.
Swim everything into your fighter! Search for the intruder!
Right. No. Okay. Yeah, all right. Forget it. It's unacceptable.
I don't know about that.
This bar is now the plate's just spouting out the blues. I don't blame her, really.
Hello.
Listen, are you sure I belong here? What if recruiting me was a mistake? I don't even know how to be DedSec.
It's too late for that. Better learn the ropes quickly.
I was in bed with someone I met on Puller. A fine filly, you know. I told them I was DedSec. Didn't know they were sirs. I had to tell them I was joking, of course. I don't want to cock up like that again.
Yeah, same.
I never like disappointing people. Least of all the team.